Hi everyone, my name is Terry, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about fractions. If you're new to math, the obvious question on your mind is, what is a fraction? Well, let's look at our number line for a moment. We have different groups of numbers. We have the natural numbers, which are our counting numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. The group of numbers that is slightly larger than the natural numbers is the whole numbers, which is just the natural numbers with the number 0. Next is our integers, which are our negative counting numbers, such as -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Have you noticed some gaps in our number line, such as in between 0 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and 3 and 4? Kind of everywhere. The group of numbers that comes next is the complex numbers, which is what's going to fill in the gaps between our integers. The complex numbers are broken up into two groups, the rational and irrational numbers. Fractions lay in the rational group of numbers, which is any integer divided by another integer. For example, we've got 3 over 2 or 4 over 6. Those are both fractions. Nobody quite knows for sure how the rational number came into being, but I'd like to think it went a little something like this. In a world that had yet to discover the fraction, a mathematician walks into a bakery, knowing he wants some bread. The baker greets the mathematician and asks him how many loaves of bread he would like, which stumped the mathematician. He knew he wanted some bread, but he couldn't possibly eat an entire loaf by himself. So he proposed the idea of having a fraction of a loaf of bread, allowing him his nourishment and reserving his place in this fiction forever. Anyway, you get the point. A fraction can be used to divide any two integers. For example, when I say 3/2, I'm describing the number between 1 and 2. And when I divide the numbers 3 and 2, I get 1.5, which happens to lie just between 1 and 2. That isn't a coincidence. 3/2 is equal to 1.5. That's a little obscure. How are we supposed to find... Oh no. There we go. How are we supposed to find the exact value of a fraction? Well, thankfully the decimal value of a fraction is easy to find. All you have to do is divide the two numbers. Let's try and find the decimal value of 19 over 8. We've got 19 over 8, or 19/8. Dividing 19 by 8, well, since you already saw my computer, let's pull up a calculator. Okay, I'm still getting used to this computer. Calculator. Let's divide it. We get 19 divided by 8. 2.375. Okay. On the number line, 2.375 lies between 2 and 3. Let's use a different color here. 2 and 3. Not exactly in the middle, more so over here. Let's delete that. Alright. At this point, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering why on earth anyone would use this thing called a fraction. After all, decimals are so much easier to visualize. Think about all the decimals that you know. Are all of them simple looking? Probably not. In fact, some decimals go on and on and on and on and on forever. How about the decimal 0.0.33333333333 going on forever? Could you imagine working with that number? Having to rewrite that number over and over and over again, 5 or 6 times, until you finally solved some simple equation? Some group of poor mathematicians had to go through that, until one day, someone decided that there was a better way. 0.333333 can be written as the fraction 1 over 3. Go on, put it in your calculator, you'll see the result. Awesome. Not all fractions are decimals that go on forever, though. Some of them are just really, really long. The decimal let's write it down, 3.142857142857113 is a really long number. Of course, I rounded that. That's a little bit more tedious to write because it's not the same number over and over and over. But that's not the point. The point is I don't want to be stuck writing that number while solving a problem. Thankfully, this number can be written as the fraction 22 over 7. Yeah, and no, that's not exactly pi. That's just an approximation. In fact, almost every decimal can be written as a fraction, which is significantly easier to work with than longer decimals. Which absolutely proves that fractions may be scary at first, but they're definitely worth the trouble of learning. In future videos, we'll discuss how to work with fractions using common operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm Terry the Tutor, and I'll calculate later.